In New York, Manhattan, USA, a notification appeared that the demotion prevention was starting. The players looked up to the sky, and their mission was for defense. A purple giant monster appeared, tearing the space. The notification revealed that the monster called Behemoth was being summoned. As it emerged, it shook everything, causing fear among the players. The behemoth had 5 red eyes and 2 large horns, making it terrifying. The players' task was to defeat the behemoth for their survival. The giant monster roared loudly. Despite their fear, the players stayed in formation, knowing that if they failed, the world would end. They all charged towards the monster together. It all started when the BattleNet began in 2010. Initially, it was just a competition between nations, but everything changed when the Space League opened up in 2022. A fight for survival against other creatures in space began. Earth's representative, humanity, continued to lose. Now it was 2023, and there were only 10 nations remaining on Earth, putting the planet at risk of destruction. The behemoth prepared to attack by forming a circle of purple flames. It released a burst of purple flames, and the players were very frightened. Suddenly, a man appeared floating in the sky in front of the behemoth. His face was serious and cold. The behemoth launched an attack aimed at the man, but he charged back and punched the behemoth down to the ground. The impact caused many cracks on the road, and the players were pulled back. The man stood atop the lifeless giant monster, his left arm lost but still remaining standing. In an instant, a notification appeared that Earth USA had completed the mission. The man who defeated the boss was Seong Jihan, the ranked 7th player in the world affiliated with American First. On top of the building, where the players were gathering, one man applauded Seong Jihan for his good work, and his nation, America, had won once again in the battle. The man introduced himself as Baron, a middle-aged man with a powerful aura, the rank 1 player in the world, and the guildmaster of American First. The priestess, Sophia, jumped down from the building hurriedly and asked Jihan if he was okay. But when she saw Jihan had lost an arm, she trembled. Sophia, affiliated with American First and ranked 3rd in the guild, immediately used her power of regeneration to heal his wounds. She told Jihan to hold on a bit longer, because the behemoth's evil energy would make it very painful. Seong Jihan felt the pain. All of a sudden, the players were shocked to see the appearance of boss rewards. Baron told the two to back away and said he would manage the reward distribution. Baron divided the treasures and distributed them among the top 5 players. Seong Jihan was not included, so Sophia quickly complained because Jihan was the one who killed the monster. But Baron replied that Jihan wasn't an American, even though he had been naturalized, and he considered him nothing more than a useful dog. Jihan didn't care and walked away. What Baron said was right. He was just a refugee who ran away after losing his motherland. He obtained an SSS rank skill called Nameless Divine Arts. This was the power he used to climb up to the 7th place in the world ranking. Even then, he was not recognized as an American and experienced all kinds of discrimination. But what troubled him more than that was the guilt he felt for surviving alone. Seong Jihan sat on top of a broken taxi, focusing on healing his arm to receive his mission results soon. A new notification appeared with the words "Game End" written on it. More notifications kept appearing. The system was announcing the results of the Bronze League demotion mission, which was to clear the conditions of survival for more than half of the players. USA successfully completed the mission, and China also succeeded, while the remaining countries failed. Out of 10 countries, only 2 succeeded. This meant that humanity had lost the demotion prevention. The message on the notification stated that there were other players who had lost demotion prevention, and the humanities players would go against orcs in the final demotion decision battle. Sophia, the priestess, persuaded Baron that they needed Seong Jihan on their team to face the orcs, but Baron firmly declined. They would go without him. All the players were teleported to an unknown place. The orcs had huge bodies and carried their weapons, while the players of humanity had only 5 members, including Baron, Sophia, a Chinese player, and 2 others. Baron was confident that they would win even without Seong Jihan. He clenched his fist and unleashed his full power. Baron charged towards the orcs alone, but before he could attack, he was instantly killed by just 1 slash from the orc's weapon. The players couldn't believe that he had died instantly. Every player from humanity was killed one by one. The people who saw their representatives getting killed were in despair. The orcs thanked the humans because they were weak, as they would be able to make it and survive. The game had ended. The system stated that humanity had lost and would be demoted from the Bronze League. There was no lower league. Humanity was deemed worthless. Humanity would be expelled from the Space League, and everything on Earth would be wiped out. A black hole started to appear, slowly devouring everything on Earth. Jihan found himself in a dark place. Earth was being destroyed by the black hole, and everything kept disappearing. And that was the end of humanity. But something happened. An error had been detected. There were still humans remaining. It was none other than Seong Jihan. A notification appeared, telling that the Nameless Divine Arts were resisting the deletion. He regretfully wondered if things would have turned out differently if he had been able to upgrade his power. An unknown conversation appeared, and one of the messages asked if they should give him another chance. These mysterious entities started voting. Some disagreed, while some agreed to let Jihan live again. In the end, they allowed him to live again. Player Seong Jihan would be returned to the league's first entry era. After some time, Seong Jihan woke up from the noise of his television. His head hurt from a hangover. He kept thinking about what had happened. He remembered that when he was on the verge of death, he read that he was going back to the league's first entry era. He glanced at his surroundings, wondering where he was. He quickly opened the curtains and was shocked to see that he had gone back to Korea in 2020. Jihan saw kids playing and imitating the Sword King, Yoon Se-jin, and he also saw a couple flirting with each other. His eyes brightened up, and then he immediately checked his status window. He saw that he was level 2, and it was the time when they first entered the league. To Seong Jihan, this was an opportunity. If he used the information from his past life, he could change the future. He would be able to protect everyone. To him, it would be different, because he had witnessed the end of the game. And now, he was back. In the year 2022, up until this point in time, Korea held a strong position. Among the world's top players, there were 11 considered to be the best. Out of these 11 players, one was securing the third place. This player defeated countless opponents. The reason Korea's position was unshakable was because of him, the Sword King, Yoon Se-jin, the pride and treasure of Korea. Thanks to his role as the mightiest warrior, Korea maintained high ranks in Northeast Asia. However, everything changed when Yoon Se-jin decided to change his name and become a Japanese citizen. In July 2020, he joined the new self-defense force. That was the day when the Korean BattleNet experienced its greatest shock. He announced to everyone that he should now be referred to as Ito Ryuhei. It was on that day that Seong Jihan reappeared. Jihan, who was watching the news and seeing Yoon Se-jin's face, became irritated. Television outlets confirmed that Yoon Se-jin had indeed left Korea. Concerns were rising about Korea's ranking in the leagues. Jihan remembered his past life. After Yoon Se-jin left, Korea plunged into chaos. Despite its previous higher rank, Korea faced repeated defeats and plummeted through the league rankings at an alarming speed. Despite Sword King's departure, some analysts believed that there wouldn't be a drastic change in the rankings. They expressed their opinion that Korea still had many talented young individuals. They hoped that Korea would remain in the top 20. But to Jihan, this mindset was a failure. No one seemed capable of filling the void left by Yoon Se-jin's absence. In Jihan's view, things might have been different with a bit more time, but the BattleNet was merciless. While it started as a game, it had turned into a survival war 2 years after the Space League began. In this game, losing meant losing one's life in reality as well. Monsters began to appear in countries that had fallen to lower ranks, leading to one-sided massacres. After Yoon Se-jin's departure, Korea fell as expected and was eventually destroyed. Survivors started saying that if the Sword King had stayed, Korea's fate would have been different. That's how strong and significant Yoon Se-jin was. The Sword King was also Seong Jihan's brother-in-law. Due to his anger towards Yoon Se-jin, Jihan decided to punch and shatter the portrait in front of him. He wondered how his sister could have fallen in love with someone he considered a jerk, and he speculated that things might have been different if she were still alive. The portrait of Yoon Se-jin shattered, showing many cracks. In the Sword King's palace, Seong Jihan thought that returning to the right time in the past was great, but his stats were woefully low. Currently, he was at level 2 with a strength, agility, HP, and mana of 5. This wasn't surprising, as he had spent most of his time drinking and gambling. He regretted not realizing the incredible value of stats and skills in the past. While everyone became a player at the age of 18, only a few received a special gift. He had received a low-ranked F gift called Wanderer's Eyes, which allowed him to see players' details. He had used this ability for gambling predictions, not knowing its true worth until awakening. Seong Jihan wondered why his stats looked terrible. Although he was level 2, his stats resembled those of a level 1 character. He suddenly remembered drinking an experience potion. Despite having a total of 100,000 achievement points, they seemed worthless and not worth any money. He pondered how he had gained achievements even though he hadn't accomplished any before entering the league. He checked his inventory to see if anything had changed due to his regression. He was shocked to find an unknown item. It indicated a benefit for the last survivor who chose to challenge again. Curious if it was exclusively for him, he used an achievement points exchange coupon. A new notification announced the addition of an achievement store. He was amazed. Opening his level 1 achievement store, he saw upgrade options using points. He realized he needed something immediately useful, but his choices were limited. He decided to try upgrading the store. A notification appeared. His achievement store was now level 2. He continued to upgrade it to level 3 before stopping. He had 50,000 points left. If he upgraded to level 4, he'd only have 10,000 points. It seemed the higher the level, the costlier the upgrade. He had two choices: buy available items or gamble on reaching level 4. Ultimately, he chose to upgrade to level 4. A sudden notification introduced urgent restoration, which repaired faulty items perfectly. He felt delighted, a stroke of luck. He went to Yoon Se-jin's gaming room and accessed the inventory of the BattleNet connector. He used the urgent restoration on his A-rank item to test his new skill. After a moment, the A-rank item transformed into an SS rank item linked to the martial god. The tutorial for the Gangnam Bronze League was about to begin. Rushing due to limited time, he used the brush on his status window. His rise to number 7 and earning the title Martial Saint was due to his combined strength, agility, HP, and the unique stat known as martial power. The brush had been discarded, but the words on it marked the start of his awakening. Seong Jihan logged into the BattleNet League. The mission was survival. Players had to endure against Colosseum monsters alongside 100 others. Survival ended when only a few remained. Holding the brush, Jihan observed the Colosseum. He checked his status window, confirming the changes to his martial power. It combined strength, agility, and HP. He obtained martial power and earned 10,000 achievement points for achieving a unique stat. To him, a martial power of 5 was a step towards obtaining the Nameless Divine Art. With this, he could breeze through the Bronze League. The system messaged him that he had logged in without being connected to the BattleNet connector. If he didn't use the connector, he would experience 100% pain in the game. Then he suddenly remembered that he was living in a world that reduced pain with money. People were able to lessen the pain they experienced within the game by using the connector. His brother-in-law Yoon Se-jin had a high-end product that reduced up to 99% of the pain. His achievement window had been opened. He received a limited request. His mission was to achieve the number 1 spot in the tutorial, and he would receive a reward of 1,000 achievement points. For him, it was a piece of cake because he already possessed martial power. The game started and instructed the player to survive until the game ended. In an instant, a player in red clothes appeared behind Jihan's back and attempted to kill him. He swung his sword, assuming Jihan was a newbie. Suddenly, Jihan stopped the sword with his fingers. The man was astounded. Jihan thanked him because the guy would be his first kill. To Jihan, the most enjoyable content in the game was slaughtering people. Guild is a group that was used to train and manage players. As excitement swept across the world about the BattleNet, each country began investing resources to develop players. Similarly, with significant support from well-known companies, both large and small guilds were established in South Korea. These guilds worked to train skilled players for the league. The Gangnam Bronze League served as the platform where promising players from different guilds made their debuts. A message was sent out to all players, signaling that the game would start soon. A young man wearing red clothing felt overwhelmed as the Gangnam League was on a whole new level. He reminded himself not to get nervous and assured himself that things would be fine, considering he had better luck than most. This young man was named Do Hyukyu, and he belonged to the Divergent Guild. Managed by the Divergent Group, this guild was well known. and had numerous rising stars. The ordinary young man, Do Hyuk-yu, managed to join Divergent after receiving the A-rank gift Agility, which increased his agility by 25. For Do Hyuk-yu, getting an A-rank gift was a rare achievement, making him confident about making it into the top 50. He began scanning the players to find his first opponent and noticed many strong adversaries. He realized that he should avoid fighting the stronger ones initially, understanding that staying alive was crucial for survival. Engaging with the major guild players right away could lead to elimination. He found it surprising that most of them came from well-equipped major guilds, making the game feel unlike the usual Bronze League. Do Hyuk-yu was taken aback when he encountered a man without any weapons, dressed simply in sweatpants and a singlet. He wondered if the guy had been summoned mistakenly. He assumed that Jihan was a newbie summoned in error. Thinking he had an easy kill, Do Hyuk-yu readied his sword. He couldn't believe his luck in encountering such an easy target. The notification announced that the game would start soon, advising players to survive until the end. Without hesitation, Do Hyuk-yu charged at Jihan, attempting to slash him with his sword. To his surprise, his sword didn't hit Jihan. It was stopped by Jihan's fingers. Do Hyuk-yu was puzzled, struggling to comprehend how Jihan could block his sword with just 2 fingers. He marveled at how Jihan kept up with his A-rank agility. Jihan let go of Hyuk-yu's sword, causing Hyuk-yu to fall to the ground. Jihan turned to him and mentioned that he had some confidence. He explained that he had come to participate in the Gangnam Bronze League with just the gift he had. Hyuk-yu felt offended and retorted that his A-rank gift wasn't worthless. However, Jihan remained unfazed, which angered Hyuk-yu even more. Hyuk-yu couldn't believe that someone like Jihan, whom he considered a beggar, would look down on him. He thought Jihan was getting ahead of himself just because he had blocked one attack. Hyuk-yu rose to attack Jihan with all his speed, while Jihan anticipated that Hyuk-yu would launch a full-scale attack. Jihan noted that Hyuk-yu's speed wasn't something to underestimate, but he believed he was faster. Jihan skillfully dodged all of Hyuk-yu's attacks, leaving Hyuk-yu striking only air. Jihan recognized that he wasn't fast. Instead, it was him being slow. He understood that it wouldn't be easy. With his experience in countless fights, Hyuk-yu's movements were straightforward and easy to predict. Jihan continued evading every attack from Do Hyuk-yu, capitalizing on his ability to anticipate Hyuk-yu's movements. Hyuk-yu yelled in frustration. When Hyuk-yu attempted another sword strike, Jihan swiftly slapped him across the face, disarmed him, and used his agility to thrust the sword into the back of Hyuk-yu's neck. Hyuk-yu couldn't believe it. Shortly after, he collapsed. He swore in anger that he would win the next time they met. A notification appeared, announcing that Jihan had secured the first kill in the tutorial and earned 100 achievement points. The sword he held disappeared, a common occurrence when players die. With his momentum building, Jihan contemplated his next move. To secure a top position, he needed to eliminate more than 5 opponents. He assumed that most players wouldn't target monsters. Besides players, BattleNet also featured monsters. However, each monster kill counted as only 0.1 of a kill, meaning players had to defeat 10 monsters to register 1 kill. Hence, players usually opted to go after other players instead, especially since some monsters appeared in groups, like orcs, making them challenging targets. A new quest appeared in a notification. The task was to wipe out an orc mob and earn 500 achievement points. Although hunting monsters was less efficient, the 500 achievement points offered 5 times the reward of securing the first kill. To Jihan, there was no reason not to undertake the task, as monsters were just monsters, paling in comparison to a real orc. Jihan swiftly headed toward the monsters. The monsters were surprised to see a lone young man running towards them. Simultaneously, they threw their axes at Jihan, but he effortlessly caught them and hurled them back, killing the monsters. He stealthily approached the remaining orcs, beheading them one by one. The other orcs recognized Jihan's power and encircled him, launching an attack. All the surrounding orcs attacked Jihan simultaneously. Fearlessly, Jihan evaded each orc's attack while slaughtering some of them to reduce their numbers. An orc wielding a wooden spear attempted to ambush Jihan, but he effortlessly broke the spear and discarded it. This orc, the last one standing, realized its failure. Jihan found him pitiful and irritated by his noisy ambush. The orc defended against Jihan's counterattack, luckily avoiding harm. Jihan mocked the orc's weapon as weak and advised it to carry better ones. As the orc noticed Jihan's broken weapon, it saw an opportunity to strike. Once again, the orcs attacked in unison, impressing Jihan with their persistence and foolishness. Jihan stomped his foot, creating a forceful impact that knocked some monsters off balance, while others were thrown aside. Seizing the moment, Jihan leaped high into the sky, accelerating swiftly to attack. The orcs fell one by one, a sharp weapon hurled by Jihan piercing through their bodies. Only a lone orc remained, frightened by the realization that Jihan was no ordinary human but a formidable adversary. With a single slash, Jihan ended the quest. The annihilation of the orcs. His reward was 500 achievement points, accompanied by a mid-game level up. This surprised Jihan, as experience is usually tallied at the game's conclusion. Nonetheless, Jihan recognized the need to enhance his stats, considering the rewards he had earned. After careful consideration, he chose to boost his martial power. This stat took precedence for Jihan, surpassing others due to its substantial benefits. Currently, he possessed 5 martial power and mana. Martial power was a distinctive stat that encompassed strength, agility, and stamina. Possessing a stat with the same numerical value was immensely powerful, essentially doubling his capabilities. When his martial power reached 30, he anticipated the chance to acquire the Nameless Divine Art once more. Gaining access to this art was crucial for Jihan. However, there was a significant drawback to this stat. Increasing martial power wasn't a simple endeavor. While examining his stats, Jihan was puzzled by the sudden increase. In the past, he'd need a mix of battle experience and training to enhance his martial power stat. He smiled, realizing that this would make it easier for him to regain his strength faster. A green-clad archer launched an attack at him, but he calmly dodged the arrow. 2 players emerged, a girl archer and a guy clad in armor. They were impressed by Jihan's escape from death. The archer was eager to end the battle, and the armored man concurred. Jihan deduced they were teaming up, a common occurrence. Although the survival map was designed for player versus player action, there were no rules against participants forming alliances. As Jihan observed, he spotted the logo of the Turtle Guild on the archer's shoulder, signifying its status as one of Korea's top 10 guilds. The game system alerted the remaining players that only 60 of them remained, and the game was about to conclude. Jihan pondered how to handle the 2 opponents. If they both attacked him together, he'd become an easy target. Checking the scoreboard, he noticed he was barely holding on to first place. Therefore, he needed to secure a few kills to ensure his ranking. Before the archer could fire another shot, Jihan struck her swiftly, using the opportunity to test the power of his newly acquired 6 martial power. The archer was an easy target for Jihan. Another notification popped up, indicating only 58 players remained, and the tutorial phase was reaching its end. The armored man froze, trembling. Jihan wasted no time, swiftly approaching from behind and delivering a horizontal slash as the man screamed in pain. However, Jihan was taken aback when he realized the armor was highly durable. The man laughed with glee, believing Jihan would never breach his B-grade rank armor. Unluckily for him, Jihan was experienced in battles, and he kept targeting the same spot until cracks appeared. A devilish smirk emerged on Jihan's face. He intended to make the man suffer even more. In a room, 2 women observed Jihan on a computer screen. The woman seated, Lee Hyeon, hailed from the Divergent Guild, and held the position of 3rd Division Head in the Department of Human Resources. The other woman next to her, Lim Gayong, served as her bodyguard, and was currently in 2nd place on the leaderboard. Lee Hyeon suggested that Lim Gayong engage Jihan in combat to test him and gather data. Lim Gayong dutifully followed her orders, watching the fight closely, with a sense of déjà vu about Jihan. Lim Gayong was a member of the Divergent Guild. She was known for possessing an S-rank gift and had been a high-potential prospect for the Divergent Guild. Her performance in the league had lived up to everyone's expectations. She had everything it took to be ranked first, except for the appearance of Jihan, who was ranked above her. Currently, Jihan held the first rank with 6 kills, while Lim Gayung held the second rank with 4 kills. In the Turtle Guild, the scout team couldn't believe that Jihan had managed to rank first at level 2 without proper gear or any affiliation. Not only that, he had almost no weapons, but somehow acquired 6 skills. 2 players from the Turtle Guild, who had recently been defeated by Jihan, felt embarrassed. The scout team wondered about his identity, and questioned if that was the real ability a player could display at level 2. Inside Jihan's apartment, within the tall building, the system messaged him that he had achieved the first rank. As a reward, his experience boost increased by 50%. His level also jumped from 3 to 6, a 3-level increase. Jihan, sitting cross-legged, felt very satisfied, attributing his faster leveling to his rookie status. He chose to invest all his remaining stats into martial power, increasing it by 3, which in turn raised his level from 6 to 9. He also earned a nickname for his league achievements, called the Tutorial Conqueror. This bestowed an additional 1 point to all his attributes and a 20% experience boost. However, this nickname applied only to the Bronze League. Considering his relatively short playtime, Jihan's stats were already impressive. He was currently at level 6, possessed 10 points in martial power, 6 points in mana, belonged to a martial class, had an F-rank gift called the Wanderer's Eye, and sported the nickname Tutorial Conqueror. His main focus now was on growing stronger, as the silver promotion battle was only accessible after reaching level 25. His excitement grew as he still had a chance for class advancement. The system informed him that he could acquire a basic class by reaching level 5. Choosing a class was a crucial decision, offering 4 options: warrior, archer, mage, and support. In his previous life, Jihan had chosen the warrior class, making it an easier route to level up his stats if he picked it again. With the achievement store he had acquired after regressing, Jihan had the option to add the warrior class at any time for 10,000 points. This meant he could select any class he preferred, such as archer, mage, or support. In the Bronze League's Gangnam area, players were tasked with defending a shining blue crystal while surviving the onslaught of zombies. The battle continued until only 5 towers remained. A woman in her 20s, Lim Gayung from the Divergent Guild, appeared with a serious and disgusted expression. She was a warrior class, clad in fancy gear. The sight of zombies repulsed her. 2 players, teleported in with their weapons, seemed prepared. The archer was from the LK group and had B-grade gear. The mage, despite lacking a specific guild, possessed impressive equipment. However, the most vital role on this map was the support class, as defense was a long-term battle of attrition, where support assistance was extremely valuable. A white beam descended from the sky, and a man arrived, holding an ordinary-looking item. This man was recognized as Seong Jihan, now a support class. 20 minutes prior, the system had warned him that the support class might not be compatible, but Jihan remained resolute. He had chosen the support class for its new ability, Divine Power, crucial for growing another unique stat. This ability was challenging to develop, requiring more investment than training other stats. Jihan needed to boost his martial power to obtain the Nameless Divine Arts, but he couldn't afford to waste his precious points. He knew of another surefire method. Back in the Gangnam area, Lim Gayung and the 2 players were puzzled by Jihan's simple appearance. The mage was irritated by Jihan's shabby clothes and gear, deeming him incompetent. The mage's annoyance was calmed by the archer, but he remained stubborn. Suddenly, Jihan grabbed the mage's clothes and effortlessly lifted him with one hand. Despite the mage's protests, Jihan threw him down to the zombies below, prompting screams. Jihan declared that if the fire mage didn't want to team up, then he shouldn't play the game. He believed they could succeed without him. The fire mage, Kim Gyu-hyuk, knelt to the ground begging for forgiveness. His abrupt change in behavior stemmed from the rules of the Bronze League defense game, where players were granted 3 lives. Kim Gyu-hyuk had been resurrected immediately after being killed by Seong Jihan the first time. Following a second death, he was left with only 1 life remaining. If he were to die once more, he would end up in last place, a consequence he couldn't afford. Jihan stood before the kneeling mage, who pleaded for mercy. The mage promised to work diligently from that point forward and to heed Jihan's instructions. Kim Gyu-hyuk was determined to avoid last place at all costs, fearing a drop in his level as a penalty, which would cause the skills he had purchased with his precious money to vanish. Jihan noticed the change in the mage's attitude and teased him by suggesting that he attack, just as he had done before. Jihan then complimented Kim Gyu-hyuk's fire control abilities. The mage shamelessly nodded and boasted about the effectiveness of fire mages against groups of enemies, proudly stating that he was already at level 15. He expressed his eagerness to have Jihan as a valuable ally. As the two conversed, Lim Gayung found herself pondering Kim Gyu-hyuk's familiarity. He had once been affiliated with one of the 10 great guilds and had commanded respect. However, he had fallen in the silver promotion leagues 4 times, eventually becoming a loser who instigated fights. Despite some lingering ego, the mage set a condition for cooperating. Jihan needed to apologize for killing him. The archer cheered for their reconciliation. Internally furious, the mage vowed to make Jihan pay. Yet Jihan was not one to easily forgive. In response to the mage's unreasonable request, Jihan grabbed his clothes and tossed him for the 3rd time. This act of frustration stemmed from Jihan's annoyance at the mage's demands, especially given that Jihan hadn't initiated the fight. A new notification appeared, announcing the death of Kim Gyu-hyuk, the mage class. Lim Gayung and the archer were astonished by Jihan's action. Zombies were already swarming the tower. On the opposing team, the fire mage unleashed flames, proving their effectiveness against the zombie horde. Meanwhile, in Jihan's team, the archer felt regretful for losing a potentially great asset. He blamed Jihan's ego for the impending loss, though Jihan remained unfazed. Checking his status window, Jihan received a limited request: achieve 1st place in the 10 towers and earn 1,000 achievement points. Another message appeared, introducing a linked quest: eliminate 1,000 zombies solo for 3,000 achievement points. Jihan contemplated this challenging quest, acknowledging its difficulty given the time constraints. Still, he didn't want to miss out on the substantial reward, especially beneficial for a rookie-level player like himself. Lim Gayung had been silently evaluating Jihan for some time. In her view, he was lacking in many ways, acting on his own whims and burdened with the support class that even casual players would avoid. She saw no reason for the Divergent Guild to recruit him. Annoyed at being ignored by Jihan, the archer proposed that if he continued to behave this way, he should fight alone. Jihan accepted the challenge, confident in his ability. Lim Gayung resolved to take the lead, instructing the others to stay behind her, given her warrior class responsibilities. However, Jihan countered, vowing to protect everything from the front. Approaching them was a red zombie named the Blood Zombie. This creature was distinct from regular zombies, possessing a liquid head that rendered close combat ineffective. The Blood Zombie leaped toward Jihan, who was prepared to strike. Thrusting his steel pole, white sacred flames emerged, a manifestation of divine power. Fearlessly, Jihan attacked the zombie, wielding his steel pole and releasing bursts of white sacred flames. More zombies began to climb the wall, targeting them. Jihan dispatched another blood zombie, its blood splattering as its head was severed. Standing steadfastly, he awaited the approaching zombies who were clambering up. Although vanquishing 1,000 zombies seemed a daunting task, Jihan was determined to give his best effort. Jihan's expression grew serious as he remained intensely focused on battling the zombies. His zombie kill count steadily rose, with his mastery of combat and his steel pole skills becoming increasingly apparent. The numbers climbed from 19 to 26 and beyond. Recognizing the challenges posed by the blood zombies, Jihan devised a plan. He would release a controlled burst of divine power when encountering them, aiming to eliminate them all at once. The archer marveled at Jihan's prowess, acknowledging him as not just a support player, but a true professional, despite his difficult personality. Lim Gayung, too, was taken aback by Jihan's extraordinary display of skill, a seamless combination of powerful attacks. His control over his divine power was remarkable, and he demonstrated precise accuracy in targeting the zombies' heads. Jihan's zombie kill count reached 210, yet he showed no signs of fatigue. A system notification appeared, signaling that he had met a specific condition. Another message followed, stating that he had fully grasped another world's faith. His divine power increased from 6 to 7, evoking a devilish grin. He had discovered another method to augment his divine power, and it was effective. In the game, divine items were revered sacred objects. Back in 2010, during Earth's tutorial phase, these items commanded high prices due to rumors of their hidden secrets. Over the course of a decade, no such secrets were revealed, causing their value to steadily decline. Otherworldly divine items, in particular, held little significance, with many unaware of their existence. In his previous life, within the American First Guild branch in the USA, Saintess Sophia had informed Jihan that she could increase his divine power using an otherworldly divine item. She had also shared that she had increased her own divine power using a divine item from another world, though this ability ceased after the tutorial. Holding on to such an item and praying would gradually grant divine power, each item requiring slightly different conditions. It was how she had become a saintess. Jihan found it difficult to believe that such a simple method was widely unknown. Sophia explained that even if rumors had circulated, these items were incredibly rare, making them exceedingly hard to come by. Jihan agreed, noting that Sophia had essentially monopolized the divine items. She then revealed that there was someone else consistently purchasing these otherworld divine items. For Jihan, this was highly valuable information he alone possessed. After his regression, he had discovered a vast collection of divine weapons in the Sword Palace penthouse. These were otherworldly divine items, their divine power depleted, rendering them empty. The collector of these items was none other than his elder sister, Seong Jihan. Alongside Sword King Yoon Se-jin, his sister had been one of South Korea's top supports and a hero. Her tragic death occurred in the distant past. Among the items she left behind was the steel pole, a low-grade item of Class E. Its description highlighted its effectiveness against cult members, specifically targeting their heads, a potent weapon for crushing zombie skulls. During the ongoing battle, the grade of the steel pole weapon diminished, but it remained a sturdy tool for striking foes. Lim Ga-young, watching intently, was astounded by Jihan's physical prowess and exceptional control. As a zombie neared the archer, Lim Ga-young drew her red sword swiftly and slashed at the zombie multiple times. Observing her actions, Jihan recognized her as the Plum Blossom Sword. From his memories, Jihan knew her as the interim Sword King, but her story had not ended well. She had met her demise at the hands of Yoon Se-jin. Lim Ga-young inquired if she could join Jihan, believing that together, they could aim for a higher ranking. Checking his status window, Jihan saw that his team ranked 5th with 398 kills, while he himself had killed 397 zombies for his linked quest. He understood that he had a long way to go. With an hour and a half left to complete the linked quest, he reasoned that Lim Ga-young, the Plum Blossom Sword, could handle herself without him. With that in mind, he agreed to her request. Leaping from the tower, he activated his divine power, enveloping his body in white sacred flames. He intended to gather everything up, and as his impact met the ground, the resulting shockwave obliterated the approaching zombies into fragments. The archer stood in shock, witnessing the damage caused by Jihan's powerful attack on the tower. The system's messages indicated that he was one of the last survivors and had successfully achieved the limited quest to secure the first place in the 10 towers. However, for his linked quest, he had managed to eliminate only 560 out of 1,000 zombies, leaving the task incomplete. The game had concluded. Jihan found himself teleported back to his team, where the archer expressed gratitude for Jihan's assistance. Jihan reassured himself that he would attempt the quest again once he grew stronger, though he was uncertain if the same quest would reappear. Lim Ga-young found the situation perplexing. How could an independent player achieve this feat on his own, especially as a support with a lower level than hers? Was it a bug? The archer bid his farewells and logged out of the game. Lim Ga-young called out to Jihan by name, prompting him to inquire if she knew him. She revealed her intention to speak with him, considering his exceptional potential and achievements. She believed that he was someone the Divergent Guild needed and asked for his contact number. However, her words made her blush profusely, and she quickly clarified that she was from the Divergent Guild and wanted to discuss business matters. Before she could say more, Jihan interjected, explaining that he couldn't recall his number but promised to share it if they crossed paths again. He promptly logged out. Lim Ga-young was left in a daze, contemplating why he couldn't remember his own number and wondering if she had been rejected. Meanwhile, Jihan walked while thinking. He realized that he had only used his American number for a while and couldn't recall his Korean number. Glancing at a large screen displaying a guild recruitment advertisement, he suddenly realized he could have obtained Lim Ga-young's number instead. However, he had no intention of joining a guild at the moment. His top priority remained the rewards. Opening his status window, he reviewed his current stats. He had gained 2 levels and earned 1,500 gold points. Looking at the gold points store, he noticed an extraterrestrial holy item of rank E, priced at 3,000 gold points. While relatively cheaper in 2020, it still amounted to a significant sum. He pondered searching his sister's storage for more treasures when he came back to their house. Upon reaching the Sword King building, he used the elevator and arrived at the designated floor. As the doors opened, he saw a pair of shoes, causing him to tremble and drop the groceries he had bought. Regrets were part of everyone's lives, and Jihan was no exception. He too harbored numerous regrets from his past life. His hands shook uncontrollably as he approached the door. His most profound regret was his inability to protect her. A young girl in a school uniform stepped out and remarked on his early awakening, asking about his hangover. He had so much he wished to tell her if they met again. In his previous life, during his lowest moments, she had been a strong and optimistic girl who cared for him. She shielded him and remained by his side. In his heart, he expressed gratitude for her protection and profound sorrow for being unable to reciprocate and safeguard her. He had failed to protect her when she needed it most. The young girl was the daughter of his elder sister and his brother-in-law, Sword King Yoon Se-jin. With a sense of nostalgia, the girl called him uncle once again in this life. Jihan deeply missed Seah, his beloved sister,